Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Gladiator Beast deck. Now Gladiator Beasts are an archetype of cards that are based on tagging out, which means when they attack or they get attacked, they just basically go back to the deck and bring out another Gladiator Beast and activate effects. So the idea behind this deck is to, protect them, keep them out, and then keep activating those effects to really annoy your opponent and, get good field presence and do a lot of crazy stuff on top of that. So first off, Laquari, so he has 1800 attack, so a nice beater, and then he gets 2100 when he's tagged, so becomes a very strong monster right away. Equeste 1600 attack, nice because you can get back Gladiator Beasts, very important for cards like Bestiari. Darius, very powerful card just because of his effect that you can special summon from the graveyard, so you can start swarming very, very easily, which adds to the insane power of this deck. Then Effect Veiler, just to get rid of effects that annoy you, also gives you access to 5-star synchros if you need them. Thunder King Rai-Oh, very nice because you don't do that much adding to the hand. You do search out with Proving Ground, but this can really lock down your opponent, especially when you're going with your tagging. They really can't do that much. Test Tiger, kind of a debate. This card can be very slow. I'm only running one of it just because I find that situationally it can be really useful to get at what you need, but definitely a choice. And then we have one Murmillo. So Murmillo has a really nice effect that you can destroy a face-up monster, but you don't want to draw him, so you only want to run one of this. If you draw more of him, you're going to be in big trouble. So definitely you want to keep that to 1 or 2. Bestiari, obviously limited. It's a very powerful card. It can destroy spells and traps, but more so it's used for the fusion, which is very crazy. And you want to be able to reuse this guy as often as possible to kind of abuse what you can do with him. So now with the spells, obviously we're running a low monster count, but that's because Gladiator Beasts can search and can exchange their cards, so it's not really a big deal, and they can recycle as well. So Forbidden Lance, really, really good for this deck. Obviously just a very nice card in general, but in this deck you want to have battle advantage to activate those effects, so this card will help you do that. Gladiator Proving Ground, searching out what you need. MST can be very useful, obviously, in most decks. Some decks don't actually run this, some Gladiator Beast decks, but I find it's very useful. If they run something like Royal Decree, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, so I like having MST. Kaiser Colosseum, really good in this deck because you're swarming, but then you're using those swarming to bring out powerful fusions or XYZs or something like that. So Kaiser Colosseum makes a lot of sense in this deck. And then Dark Hole. Now for the traps, so 3 Gladiator Beast War Chariot, just really annoying for your opponent to deal with. Being able to negate effects like crazy with a trap is very, very powerful. And then Safe Zone, so Safe Zone is ridiculously good in this deck, basically just protecting your monster so you can tag out. It just is really amazing for how Gladiator Beasts work. This card is just basically designed to work with Gladiator Beasts. Then a bunch of traps, Dimensional Prison, Mirror Force, all the staple ones. We're also running Waboku. Waboku kind of doing the same thing as Safe Zone, allowing you to keep activating those effects. And one Black Horn of Heaven just to help out. So now for the extra deck, we're going to have the Gladiator Beast fusions. So Gyzarius, very powerful, being able to destroy things. Obviously you need Bestiari, so that's why he's a very important card in this deck. And also nice that you can just tag this out too, to increase your swarming and do a bunch of other things. You could start to use these fusion effects, abuse them, put them back in the deck, get more fusions out. It becomes a very crazy set of things you can do, and that's why Bestiari is limited, because of how crazy the combinations can be. One Essedari, just giving you some, attack boost when you have certain Gladiator Beasts. Then Heraklinos, so Heraklinos 3000 attack, and really not that hard to get out with Darius especially. Being able to negate spells and traps, obviously very powerful, especially with a 3000 beater. Then we have one Catastor, just because we have Effect Veiler, definitely useful to have. A bunch of stable XYZs. Getting XYZs out in this deck is very easily. So Exciton Knight, Silent Honor, Blackship, Maestroke, Gagaga, Photon. We do have Vylon because getting out 3 4-stars is also really easy in this deck. We also have Tiger King because we have some Beast Warriors. Always good to being able to negate effects. And one Lightning Chidori just because we have a little bit of wind. We have a few wind monsters. So that's definitely a choice there. You don't have to run this, but I still find that it's very useful for bouncing cards. And Diamond Direwolf, an obvious choice for this deck when you have all these beasts and beast warriors and winged beasts. So now for the side deck. Again, side decks in my videos are not, it's not a side deck for matches. It's more like cards that you might want to think about when you're making this deck, when you want to run your own Glad Beast deck. You can take a look at all these cards that I put in here and kind of think about how they can work with the deck. So there's a few other Gladiator beasts. Hoplomus is just a defender. My deck's more aggressive, so not currently what I'm doing, but his defense can be really, really nice. Rateri is actually a really good just side deck card in general, like in an actual side deck, because being able to annoy your opponent's graveyard is very powerful against certain decks. You know, like something like Dark Worlds, you can get rid of Grapha from the graveyard, which is really nice. Prisma is actually a very common card that you'll find in this type of deck, just because they abuse his effect to get things to the graveyard, to get to recycle them, to bring out fusion. So Prisma is an interesting choice, but currently not what I'm doing. Code Soldier Wolfbark, just allowing you to do some interesting stuff, you know, bringing back Laquari. It's useful in Fire King, so you can see the use of it here, but currently not what I'm doing. Firefist Bear can be useful if you're running like Tenki or Tensu. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but currently not what I'm doing. There's other XYZs you can run. You know, you can run more of the ones that require 3 level 4s, like Ouroboros, so that's definitely a choice. The field card, Cage of the Gladiator Beast, I don't really like maintaining a field card in this deck, and the amount of special summoning you do is somewhat limited, so I currently am not a big fan of this, but you know, if you want to run this, definitely you can. Shrink can be useful, obviously talking about how you need to win in battle, so you can see the use of Shrink. Pot of Duality, you do a lot of special summoning, so I don't want to run this. Burden of the Mighty, again for battle. There's Gladiator Beast equip cards, you can look at all of them. They're all a little bit interesting, but currently not a big fan of them. Respite is another alternative for draw power, but we're running a low monster count, so not a big fan of this. Tensu, also another thing you could do to give you Beast Warrior swarming to bring out, you know, XYZs and tagging and all that stuff and fusions. And like I said, with Firefist Bear, you can abuse that card as well, so that's a choice. And then we also have Defensive Tactics. Not a huge fan of this card, but can protect you from battle to activate Glad Beast effects. And Horn of the Phantom Beast can be a good card in this deck, backing up your Gladiator Beasts, giving them, you know, some draw power. Although you'll end up losing this card pretty quickly because you tag out and stuff like that. So that's my Gladiator Beast deck. Can be very quick at times, can be slow at certain times, but really allows you to use your deck to its, you know, fullest potential and gives you some very exciting plays that your opponent might not see coming. But if you guys have your own Gladiator Beast decks, you know, you can post below, let me know in the comments, make suggestions for the cards that you maybe want to see in my deck and that kind of thing. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.